Senior year, I found a mute girl in an underground fight club. She promised to protect me, but when the fire erupted, she ran toward my brother. With a second chance, I glanced at her coldly. Can't even speak, just get lost. That night, she knelt in a storm, signing repeatedly at the door. Why don't you want me this time? I walked into the room holding a bunch of chrysanthemums, and there was Tina kneeling on the floor. Eric's fingers were gripping a glass of red wine, swaying. I watched Tina's silent back, clenching my fists. My brother has such refined tastes, huh? I tossed the pale chrysanthemums into his lap, petals scattering everywhere. Upon hearing my familiar voice, Tina hunched down further, as if trying to disappear. The first time I saw Tina, a fighter a head taller was beating her on the ground, going for the kill. Hood up on my black hoodie, I leaned against the railing nearby, flicking a lollipop with my tongue. Aren't they gonna stop this? She lay still, hardly moving. When I fell down, I'd go alone to the underground fight club. The sounds of punches landing felt like a jolt to my numb nerves, making me feel alive again. Here, someone dying wasn't unusual. I frowned, ready to leave, when I heard a rustle behind me. She struggled to stand, body bruised yet somehow brimming with a sudden strength, hitting back fiercely. It wasn't until later, amid the crowd's cheers, that I understood why the tables had turned. They had insulted Tina, calling her a mute bitch. She was lucky not to be killed. Mute bitch. Eric's eye caught my workbook. My dear little brother, you think she's giving you the silent treatment because you said her grades sucked? Don't be naive. Last night, when you were trying to reconcile, guess what we were doing? Bully her? She can knock me out with one punch. Would she do this if she didn't want to? Just a bit of fun. Never tried it, brother? Eric squinted, his words laced with smug arrogance. And that's Tina for you. When I saved her, half dead, and brought her home, she'd rather burn to death with a fever than let me take care of her. She was stubborn, guarded, full of distrust. No one could force her without her consent. She had nothing, feared nothing. That's what she often said. But when did it change? Was it when Eric fed her cake in the abandoned classroom, and she didn't refuse? Or when Eric showed up disheveled at my house? Or was it on some night she didn't come home? Feeling a surge of anger, I hurled my heavy workbook at her back. The workbook served as my outlet. Tina, look at me. Just shake your head. I'll pretend this never happened. Eric was a bully at school. Who knows if Tina had some dirt he held over her? A bit late to realize, was this me making excuses for my girlfriend? Tina looked up. I wanted to find humiliation, doubt, or reluctance in her eyes, but there was none. There was nothing at all. Don't push my darling too much, little brother, Eric said, half bent, his chest against her shoulder, rising and falling slightly. Great, just great. Since I was 10, when Eric and his gaudy mother burst into our home, he never stopped taking from me. My toys, my pencil case, even my girlfriend. Whatever he wanted, he took. He was like this sticky goo on my back that wouldn't come off. I could punch Eric out, but he'd always snatch what's mine. I once thought Tina would be an exception. After all, she once took me to the hospital 5 miles away when I was burning up with a fever, hands trembling. She followed silently behind me on every late night home. In her notebook, she awkwardly wrote, "Only like Ben." I turned and left, shoving a 3-tiered cake tower to the floor, walking downstairs without looking back. The fire began to spread at that moment. It started as commotion below, then thick smoke filled the air. Screams, running, alarms. I couldn't hear any of it, just felt a stabbing pain. I instinctively looked back at Tina. She hated seeing me upset. Usually, she'd awkwardly hug me, thumb brushing under my eyes. But as the burning beam trapped me, she turned and ran to my brother. Not a hint of hesitation. Am I really buying our fighter? That noise again, and there was the scarred face of the fight club owner in my view. Behind him, Tina stood, bruised and looking at me with those familiar, loving eyes. I was reborn, brought back to the day I bought Tina. I squeezed the card in my hand, edging back. Can't even speak. Let her go. Walking out of the club, I heard the owner's voice. Knew it. Where's he get the money to buy my star fighter? Truth is, while my dad's clueless at home, I've never lacked food or clothes. That's how I could afford to buy Tina out from the club last time. Heal her wounds, teach her to read and write, and slowly warm her heart. But this time, I don't want to. No matter who it is, they end up with Eric. Flames of the past still flickered in my eyes. I quickened my pace and ran home. Dark clouds covered the sky, heavy rain bringing a haze. I was about to head upstairs when I saw a familiar figure kneeling by the window. Rain poured down her back, and I squinted, recognizing her hand signals. Why don't you want me this time? A purple lightning streaked the sky, as steam rose with the rain. I opened the door. Drops clung like venomous insects to my feet, chilling me. What are you doing here? I glanced at her coldly, stepping further inside. She was soaked to the bone, her white shirt clinging to her waist and stomach with every breath. Tina's throat was scalded by boiling water, forced on her by her drunken mom when she was 7. She doesn't like being called mute, nor does she care for sign language. If I hadn't visited an orphanage as a kid, I wouldn't even know what she was saying. Tina pressed her lips tightly, the mistiness in her eyes indistinguishable from rain or tears. Every time she makes me mad, she wears that same expression. The distant rumble of thunder softened my resolve for a moment. Get inside already. Don't just die at my doorstep. She got up unsteadily, and I remembered she once told me that when she was 12, she was viciously stomped on for winning against the wrong person. Her right knee never fully healed. With a glance away, I handed her a towel. Dry yourself and leave when the rain stops. Tina's hand was still wet, hesitantly pawing my hand like a small animal. Always like this. The first time she sneaked off to some underground fight club and came back battered, she reached for my hand the same way. I looked away, pressing my palm with exasperation. Can't speak. Fine, but can't you listen? Avoiding her, I raced upstairs. In a past life, I recalled her running towards Eric's back. Haven't I had enough of betrayal? That night, the thunder dragged on. I slept restlessly, fire licking my spine in dreams. When I woke, soaked in sweat, Tina was gone. The towel was neatly folded on the coffee table. Maybe because she never had a concept of home growing up, in a past life she was always so into household chores. I'd tease her while sucking on an ice pop saying she was the perfect wife, which would turn her ears red. Thinking back now, it was kinda childish. Why did I so easily dream of a future? I felt a surge of irritation and messed up the towel, as if to wipe away the traces of Tina. In the following 2 months, Tina didn't show up again. The summer was hot and dragging, but it blinked by. The start of school brought excitement with a tinge of anxiety, like a virus in the air. Eric, now a sophomore, showed off by arriving in a flashy sports car, garnering envious stares. He always loved being the center of attention, never letting go of anything or anyone that belonged to me, not even Tina. Trying to calm my nerves, I sat down, but was interrupted by sudden cheers in the classroom. Lifting my head, I met Tina's gaze. She had gotten thinner, her cheekbones and jawline more pronounced. The years of underground fighting had made her seem more mature than the other girls in class. She's new, but she's got a solid foundation. Help her out, okay? Said our homeroom teacher, Leo, rasping as he distributed test answers. Tina walked into the room slowly under everyone's gaze, stopping right in front of me. No way is she gonna sit next to Ben? He's famously a loner. Why not choose me as a desk partner? Rustling papers couldn't hide the gossip around me. Raising my head, I again met her eyes. Can I sit here? Her raspy voice hit my ears, and it took me by surprise that Tina was finally speaking. Seemingly still struggling with her voice, she swallowed hard between words. Tina's vocal cords weren't fully damaged. There was always a chance she could speak again. In a past life, I considered taking her to get examined, but she refused. She couldn't stand being called mute and refused to face that her mom had harmed her. But now, I was dumbfounded until Leo, raising his voice, told her to sit down, snapping me back to reality. But why? My somewhat composed heart churned anew. I dropped my pen and left the classroom, hands shoved in my pockets. My dad had made a hefty donation to the school, and I was known for keeping to myself. So, aside from Tina, nobody cared if I abruptly left. Thinking about this life, I never really claimed Tina, yet here she was again. I meant to settle things after graduation. Why bother now? Skipping stones into the school's artificial lake, I sensed Tina behind me. I know you're mad, she said, impatient yet raspy from saying too much. Tilting my head, I stood slowly. Oh, why would I be mad? Because you left without a word and got cozy with the brother I detest? Or because you abandoned me in the fire? I poked her chest, closing in on her. Tina's eyes flickered, her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She's reincarnated too. But if she's willing to die for Eric, then why come after me now? I pointed to the water behind her. Sure, I'm mad. Jump in, and I'll forgive you. When I was 12, Mom died, and Dad brought a new woman home the same year, with a son only a year younger than me. Everyone I could rely on vanished that year. When I first took Tina in, I finally wanted to fully rely on someone. Yet when the fire raged, she went to Eric. Just because I didn't confront her right away doesn't mean I'm not angry. Tina can't swim. She won't leap in. With a bitter laugh, I strode off. This time, she didn't follow. Filled with frustration, I rounded a stairwell corner to see Eric and his crew cornering a girl, snapping pics while gripping her collar. Seeing me, Eric kicked the girl aside and crossed his arms, looking down at me from nose level. Barely at school, and he'd already formed a bully group exerting a cruel dominance. The school turns a blind eye sometimes because of that building. But that doesn't mean I'll let him bully me. I heard there's a new transfer student in your class. I heard he's built pretty well. As he got closer, he tapped my shoulder with his long fingers. I brushed his hand and slapped him across the face. Eric looked at me in disbelief, and his little followers stepped back, scared. Just a bunch of girls after money, they run the fastest in trouble. You and your mom, the mistress, you're two of a kind. Loving the scraps? Why not work in the cafeteria then? You're neither tall nor short, neither fat nor thin, just a nobody. With each slap, I made him stagger back. Eric, always dieting, can't handle someone like me who loves the underground fight club. Mad? Even if he's mad, he can only get beat by me. I straddled him, and the sound of my slaps echoed through the hallway. Eric's always been a bully, so no one even pretended to stop us. Ben, are you crazy? Eric's words were slurred and broken from the beating. My hand was going numb, and last life's anger was pouring out of me. It wasn't until people crowded and raced downstairs that I started coming back to my senses. Someone drowned in the lake. My heart skipped a beat. When I caught my breath again, Eric pushed me to the ground. My palms scraped the rough ground, leaving a raw red mark. Tina. I don't know how I got to the lake, but there Tina was, surrounded on the soft wet grass, barely breathing. She stood there for ages before suddenly jumping in. Stressed out? Even with bad grades, with that face and body, she won't starve. She was in the water so long, I thought she died. It was terrifying. Tina lay there, pale, searching frantically for something. I stood frozen for ages before finding my voice. Why did she really jump? I'll forgive you if you jump. Tina was taken to the nurse's office, and we were alone after she got 4 fluids. She turned to look at me, her eyes probing cautiously. I took her medicine and coldly handed it to her. I haven't planned on being an accomplice yet. You're still mad at me. Her throat was raspy from the water. Tina, you might think reincarnation is just a story, but I believe. She cut me off with firm eyes. Honestly, I suspected when she knelt in the rain. Nobody likes being let down, especially me. I continued. No one's more cowardly than me. My wounds take forever to heal. Her eyes darkened a little. After a long silence, she gently touched the scars on my back from the fire, asking each word deliberately. Does it hurt? I turned away, sniffled, and wiped away tears. I'm not done with you yet. Take care of yourself, don't die. Returning to class, a pile of papers waited on my desk. I buried my head deep, the ink smell stinging my eyes. Tina stayed in the school hospital for 3 days before coming back to class. To outsiders, she just slipped and fell in the lake. The school questioned it but went ahead and added layers of guardrails around the lake. Tina got famous because of it. People lined up to see her before class. I sat by the window intercepting all love letters for her. No, she spoke with difficulty. Lately, she toned it down, no longer staring at me constantly. But she still handed me a pen if I lost one and stuffed my desk full of lollipops. I tossed the pink letter onto her desk. You don't want it? Do I want it then? Feeling a weird irritation, I was about to leave the classroom when I ran into Eric. This time, his lackeys were gone. After I slapped him in public, he angrily sought school justice. This face, how's it so promising? Why didn't I notice before? As for brotherly matters, what can the school do? The balding teacher, looking troubled, spread his hands. He uses my dad's influence to do as he pleases at school, which has bothered the admin for a while. The school can't do much, but I, as his brother, can settle family matters. I popped a lollipop in my mouth. My tone wasn't exactly friendly. What's up? Why the nerves, big brother? Just a family matter between us. Family matter? What's there to talk about between a man and a beast? He clenched his fist and took a half step forward. Tina, for the first time, bravely gripped my hand, standing between us to shield me. Her slender figure enveloped me. In the past life, my favorite thing was holding her. She was so delicate, but hugging her brought a strange sense of security. She finally spoke, though struggling. If you've got something to say it to me. Eric sneered, looking Tina over with a nasty glint. Sweetheart, you still owe me a wedding. Tina clenched her fists, her back trembling. She didn't dare to look back at me. These two were even romantic. I gave a bitter laugh, pulled the lollipop from my mouth, and tossed it in the trash. Trying to break free, my wrist stayed firm in his grip, his rough fingertips igniting my skin. Get lost, don't ruin my sight. Without mercy, I kicked at his leg, breaking free from his grip. Ben, why won't you learn? Hiding in an empty storage room, I buried my head in my knees, plotting how to wreck the wedding. A wedding, Tina promised me one in a past life. She once wrote me a long note. Last time I went secretly to the underground boxing club. Wanted to earn money for your birthday gift. Pissed you off. It was my fault. I've thought it over. I really need to study hard, get into college, and find a legit job. Next month's exam? I'm definitely gonna make it into the top 100 in my grade. My foundation is weak, and if I don't get in, I'll just keep trying. When are you planning to get married? Can you wait for me? If you can't, that's okay. But if you're gonna marry someone else. I grabbed her pen before she could finish writing. After Tina barged into my life, I never thought about marrying anyone else. But I didn't expect she'd promise Eric a wedding so soon. A dull pain shot through my calf as I lifted my head, tears still streaking my face, not yet wiped away. Eric, with his new little sidekick, cornered me. A gang of guys towering at 6'3", their shadows locked me in place. I wasn't planning to mess with you this quickly. He disdainfully brushed off the ping-pong table, sitting across from me. What kind of spell did you cast on Tina? She promised me a grand wedding in a past life, and now? She's under your spell again. So what should I do with you? He leaned in, smirk not reaching his eyes, while the guys behind him glared, ready to pounce. One of Eric I could handle. This situation, out of my control. While standing up, I discreetly dialed Tina's number, slipping my phone under the table. You came running from the east classroom to the far west equipment room just to ask me this? Pressing back against the cold wall, I tried to stay calm. I continued, I've conquered that fool 7 times. Every time there's a restart, when the fire hits, she clings to you. Having lived through this life again, tackling a strategy game didn't feel so unmanageable. But then, Tina. My fingers shook a bit as past flames danced in my memory, hot and relentless. If she weren't the hardest to get, I wouldn't be interested. A mute? Other than her looks and physique, what's there? Eric gave a cold grin. Yeah. So why not just give up? Is it because you don't want to or because you can't? Suddenly he stopped, clamping a hand around my throat, shoving me against the wall. In that other life, I was just about to win. Tina promised me a huge wedding. If it weren't for that damn system, Eric cut himself off, glaring icily at me. Why does a dying man need to know so much? His grip tightened, but I managed to shove his wrist down, pinning him momentarily. Still, someone kicked my leg hard before I could fully stand. Before I knew it, my arm was pinned behind my back, and I couldn't move. That's when Tina arrived. She kicked the door open, white shirt billowing, just like during our first meeting. I slumped to the floor, pain throbbing in my knee, groping for my phone in the corner. When Tina's right leg got stomped like this, did it hurt the same? I lifted my head, seeing Tina handle 5 attackers with ease, chest heaving. Which hand touched him? She asked, towering over one of them, bending down slowly. Eric trembled beside me like a quail. I struggled to get up, catching a glimpse of a flash of a knife out of the corner of my eye. Among the fallen, someone pulled a knife, aiming straight for Tina's back. When the ambulance arrived, Tina was bleeding through half her shirt, clutching the hem of mine, her fingers trembling. Tina, don't die. I got so many things to ask you. My voice shook, unable to stay steady. If Eric was right and Tina saved me from the flames 7 times, why choose Eric the 8th? Why do I have no memory of those 7 times? This time, who's she really here for? By the time I reached the hospital, the blood on my hand had dried, my heart twisting with anxiety. It wasn't until 4 a.m. that my heart settled back into place. The patient's all right. Take good care of your girlfriend. A grouchy Jack went off to argue with the doctor. Girlfriend? They're desk buddies. Can't desk buddies be close? He squinted at me. Hey, don't I know you? Weren't you in class 3 at high school 17? It's me, Jack, your desk buddy. Their voices faded into the distance as the surgery room's door opened. Finally, I snapped back to reality. Tina looked pale, a bandage wrapped around her shoulder, even a small one around her neck. I'm okay. I finally exhaled a sigh of relief. For the next several days, Tina had to stay for observation. Jack made me his delivery guy to bring meals and notes. Here, you gotta switch to trigonometric functions. Tina's breath brushed my ear. I edged away a bit. Oh, and don't worry about the hospital bills. Jack and I will cover it. No need. I've got money. Where'd you get money? Growing up in an underground boxing club, her earnings always got snatched by a greedy boss. I memorized the lottery numbers. Wow, really underestimated her there. I turned, taking the porridge from her hand. So, what do you think the college entrance exam's like? Tina pressed her lips together, not meeting my gaze. Don't know, haven't lived to see that day. I trembled, spilling some hot millet porridge on my hand. Tina clumsily tried wiping it off, avoiding touching my hand. After the exams finish, it's your birthday. I've prepared gifts so many times, but never got to give them. Her voice was still hoarse, speech a bit slow. So last time I risked pretending Eric won. I'd seen how the system disliked him, so during the energy flux, it left him. Before, he'd try to win me over, and if he thought he might fail or get bored, he'd use a fire to restart. The system didn't agree with his methods, so it left me my memories, then sought my help the 8th time to escape him. Tina tentatively gripped my hand. No more rebirths. Never leaving you again. My heart felt like it was being pricked by needles, crushed, spread out, left under the sun. When Tina reached the equipment room, who knows where she had just come from. When I was still mad, I threw his gift into the trash can right in front of her. She looked at me with a smile. If you don't like it, that's fine. I'll get you something better for your birthday. Okay? I let out a long sigh. I think I forgot to bring your papers. Let me go grab them. I slipped my hand away and ran out of the room without looking back. In the bathroom, I touched the scar tattooed on my shoulder. Does it still hurt? Thinking about how Tina shielded me from fire 7 times, it didn't seem so painful anymore. I went downstairs and bought her favorite sweet and sour ribs. But when I was ready to go back up, Tina was gone. Panicking, I dialed Tina's number, only to hear Eric's voice. Want to save her? Come to the West Side Paper Factory. Come alone. Unless you want her throat messed up again? The phone crackled with howling wind and the sound of boiling water. I gripped my phone, my voice coming out rough and unrecognizable. Okay. By the time I reached the west side, it was getting dark. The sky was a shade of purple, with heavy clouds letting some light slip through. Eric, what do you want? Behind him was Tina, a rag stuffed in her mouth, her knee pinned to the ground, sweat dripping from her forehead. Eric lifted his head and smiled, his earrings brushing against his slender collarbone. The guy who hurt Tina was quickly caught and even spilled that Eric was behind the attack. Lately, life's been tough for him. Systems are really gone. Standing on the dusty concrete, he said, I can't go back. Happy now? Do you know why I took on Eric's identity for the game? I'm a mistress's kid, but I never knew what I did wrong. Never had friends. Everyone avoided me. My mom didn't even get the guy, and we spent years in a tiny dump. He sat on the cracked stairs, lighting a cigarette. I wonder if life would have been different if Mom married that man. But you surprised me. As the legitimate son, you always overshadow me. Even my targets run to you, but I'm not letting you win. Eric exhaled a smoke ring, grabbing a knife from the corner. I'll chop off your piano playing hands one by one. Or else, she gets a taste of boiling water again. I lowered my head and picked up the sharp blade. Across the room, Tina's eyes were red, shoulders bleeding as she shook her head desperately. Who said you can't go back? I stared blankly at the knife in hand, twirling it slowly. Eric frowned slightly, flicking his nearly burnt cigarette into the corner. What are you saying? The system's not gone. It's with me now. I looked at him steadily. He gulped, eyes filled with greed. Approaching Eric slowly, I hoped the cops outside would back me up. If you clear the game, you can request to bring your favorite character back to the real world, right? My palms were sweating as I probed further. I tossed away the knife, kicking it off. You rebooted the game 8 times. You know better than me. Fire resets the game, doesn't it? Standing by the half-crumbled window, I casually raised my hand outside. If I succeed, I'll take you with me. Reaching out against the sunset, he didn't really belong here. He was just playing, lighting fires to start over when bored. The system probably left Eric for excessive restarts with Tina's help. Too bad he still couldn't see his mistakes, hoping for external power. Gazing at the distant river, I felt more confident. I can take you. Just let Tina go. Eric breathed heavily, his eyes darting around. No way. Why should I trust you? Everyone's outside, and it's poured for days. Fires unlikely. Pointing downstairs at rising smoke, Tina sat next to a gas can. Honestly, I was a bit worried, but tried to act cool. Seeing a familiar fire, Eric's eyes lit up as he regained lost hope. Meanwhile, Tina broke her gag, urgently warning, don't become the next Eric. Game players ultimately face repercussions. Smoke was creeping up, and by the window Eric screamed, without the system, I can still escape. Lunatic. Suddenly, there came a loud thud downstairs. Alert guards rushed down, perhaps thinking restrained Tina posed no threat. But it's Tina after all. Quickly kicking the guard with her left leg, she snatched the knife I kicked over, stabbing his leg. Eric finally stopped and watched. Doesn't matter if you kill him, I'll start over regardless. But Eric, there's no next time. Swaying towards Tina, cigarette embers ignited the gas. What I feared most happened. Downstairs was a fake fire, but up here, it was a real, raging fire. As the flames spread, I grabbed Tina's hand. Come on. Tina held me tight. Don't be scared, Ben. I gently ran my hand down her back. Does it hurt? When the fire spreads, does it hurt? This time, I said, how about I take you away? I pulled her hand, slowly moving towards the window. Outside, a small stream flowed gently by, bathed in the red glow of the sunset. By the time the police and firefighters got upstairs, the fire was out of control. Eric stubbornly sat in the blaze, waiting for another chance to be reborn. Sadly, there would never be another chance. On the day the college entrance exams ended, I waited and waited but didn't see Tina. I kicked stones at the doorway, feeling bored. That day, when she jumped out the window, Tina's old injuries flared up, and she ended up lying in the hospital for almost half a month. Hurry up and get better, I complained, sitting by her hospital bed, peeling an apple. You spend every day in the hospital. How are you going to get into college? Tina looked at me with gentle eyes. I will, definitely. I don't know why she was so confident, being barely in the top 200 of our grade. Kicking the stone back and forth by the door, the sky was getting darker when Tina finally showed up, fashionably late. So, the college student is here, huh? I teased, my tone a bit sarcastic since I hadn't answered the last math question. Tina's soft fingers touched my head. I went to get your gift. Where is it? Where's the gift? Liar. She had said it, typical girl. Tina looked up and smiled. Look at the sky. I looked up, and in the deepening night, drones had formed a massive firework pattern. In the interplay of lights and shadows, a drone hopped around in the starry sky like dangling ears. This is amazing. I couldn't help but exclaim. She laughed, a hint of mischief in her eyes. Are you happy with this kind of gift? I nodded, feeling warmth flooding over me. At that moment, I felt her care and affection. It wasn't just a gift. It was a surprise she had crafted for me, like those fireworks illuminating the night sky just for me. Tina took my hand. Let's go for a walk and talk about what happened today. Looking at her, I thought having such a thoughtful and gentle girlfriend was the luckiest thing in my life.